Yo, what's up, guys? It is the early morning, but we have an announcement of a new unit, which is the Beetle Guardian, which actually kind of reminded me of two things. First of all, in Chronicles, my people ask, are you still playing Chronicles? Yes, kind of ish, whatever. But it's more of like a login daily kind of thing and then logging out again. But they already had units in there which were Beetle Knights, which are the units over here. So at first I thought like, oh, are they actually going to be implementing units from Chronicles into this game? Well, the Beetle Knight, this compared to this is very different. And this also looks a lot more badass. This actually reminds me of something else. And for the people that have been watching it as well, solo leveling Beru. I kind of got that kind of vibe. This kind of looks like Beru from solo leveling, which I would say one of the more popular animes of the last few weeks/months. So yeah, that's definitely a dope one. He looks badass. He definitely looks badass. So let's see what we have for skills. So first skill is attacks the enemy, removes one beneficial effect with a 50% chance, and then deal damage according to your defense. So strip on skill 1 is always good. Also, right away, we have a defense scaling unit that also has a defense scaling on skill 1. And that is the thing which was the issue at the start with the Slayers. Skill 1 was just simply attack scaling, where the whole rest of the kit was HP scaling. It makes it terrible. We kind of still have that with the Gojos. Sure, the Water Gojo's picking up a little bit more pace right now because it's just an overall decent unit. But if they had defense scaling on that skill 1, he'd instantly be fucking insane. Now he's kind of like, yeah, the S1 is kind of the off turn where you kind of try to stun, but the S2, that's where the real shit happens. So this thing right away, having a strip on skill 1, never bad, but defense scaling is definitely good. Then on the S2, we have recover 20% of your HP and attack the enemy, dealing damage proportional to your defense. So once again, defense scaling. I like that consistency right there. And then provoke them for 1 turn with a 50 check. 50 check is not that consistent, so I don't really like that much. But at least it's like an AoE heal. Well, no, wait, it's a solo heal and then an AoE hit for a provoke. Not that bad, not that bad. Then we have the third skills, increase your attack power of all allies for 2 turns and the defense of your allies excluding yourself. Okay. And then receive half of the damage inflicted on the defended target while making the damage 0 for the defended target. Okay, so that's just giving like a defend. Okay, that makes sense. But also during that defend, you take half of the damage. If yeah, I think that's normal for defend in the first place. It's just, yeah, you get the hug. Like the second part is just you get the hug. I think it's just as simple as that. In most cases, when they showcase a unit in here, they're not showcasing the best of the family. They're just showcasing a little bit of an example. But if we're looking at the skill 1 and the skill 2, I do think that this unit might be pretty good. The skill 3 itself, I'm kind of like, okay, more of maybe a setup, maybe more of like a siege unit that you can do some protection and then do some extra damage. We actually in the past have been using Chandras for kind of the same style. Just hug a Federica, boost something up and then work it that way. Big question is always, of course, what are the multiplier on any of those skills? What are the cooldowns on any of those skills? Does he have a leader skill on guild lead? Like if he has a 24 lead in arena or 24 lead in speed for guild or something like that, then suddenly he becomes instantly really, really good. If he doesn't have any of those, then he's kind of bad. So that's also one of the base speeds. If this thing is rocking like a 106 base or maybe even a speed awakening, it's so much better than not having any of those. So yeah, that's definitely the big question between any of those things. What does he have? How much does he have? How much damage does it actually do? But already seeing that everything is at least defense scaling when it is a defense type of unit, I like that. I do hope that the whole family therefore also remains defense, not that like, oh, you have one defense type and one HP type and one support type. Well, support type isn't the worst. But the moment that they go for an HP type and an attack type in the middle where the skill 1 is already defense scaling, that's where you get kind of the weird stuff, which I don't really like to see. But overall, I think this unit looks pretty badass. That's yeah, like I mentioned. I wonder if you go light and dark on this one, if it gets close to like the Beru kind of style of like messing things up. Probably it's not going to be as agile and that kind of stuff because it's a defense type of unit. But they look dope. I like the art style on this one. This one is definitely really cool itself. Another thing that's been mentioned on the Reddit post, you do know that they did mention on the developer preview that they're going to be reworking a bunch of units. And Vampire apparently is already leaked in the selection where you select multiple or you summon multiple units and you select one as a beginner. They already have the new icon in there. And I would say that looks pretty cool for a vampire. Not gonna lie. They're actually going to do, on the top of my head, it was Chimera, Oracles, Dragons, Vampires, and a bunch of others. I think they had like 13 in total or something. But they look pretty cool. My big question is, are these new skins going to be looking better? Like the original skins that are upgraded, are they going to be looking better than a actual skin that you already have in the game? Undyne is also slightly changed in here. So that's definitely a cool thing as well. And I'm curious about Dragons, Chimeras, and Oracles, of course. Then also people were asking is like, okay, do you have scrolls saved? Well, actually, I always do save my mystical scrolls. I'm at like close to on 2.9 by the now. I always save mystical scrolls because the moment that they release a new unit, they always have the 10+1, which means you summon 10 mystical scrolls, you get one for free. That means that I'm currently getting like 290-ish extra or even more than that, because the ones that you get back, you can even get the 10+1 on again. I'm getting in on like closing in on like 290 extra mystical scrolls for just saving them. The other scrolls, most of the time I don't save, but for now I have been saving those as well, because I kind of felt like for the 10th anniversary, or not the 10th anniversary, the 11th anniversary, they're probably going to be doing something with a bunch more summons. So I was like, I just might make a little bit more of a bigger summon session at that moment. So that's going to be somewhere next week as well. So then again, I'm definitely hyped for this new unit. I think it looks pretty dope. Definitely going to be trying to summon a few of those. We do know in the end with Comtois, most of the time, if they release a new unit, it is released and it's kind of bad. They have tried it with the Demon Slayer collab. We had the Zenitsus being okay on release. We had a few other units being okay to usable on release. There's still a lot of units which I would say like, hey, we're not really using that. It needs a tweak here or needs a tweak there. But at least there were a decent amount that I would say like, hey, these were already usable straight from the get-go. There's still also a whole bunch, like, I would say the Inosuke family, except for this one, is still bad either after one batch. But in the end, they did try it where at least the Zenitsu family was kind of usable. Dark Tanjiro is a great unit. This thing is a pretty good unit at the start. So we made the assumption always that units on release are really bad. I hope that with these, at least one or two is going to be usable as well. Also, I do kind of hope that the L&Ds are good, because that's also a trend they have been doing. It's just adding more and more L&D units. But all of the L&D units that they add, well, actually, right here, Dark Nezuko is good. Line Inosuke is good. But if you see, like, this one, pretty terrible, very terrible. Okay, insanely good. But you kind of get the idea of, like, they just add in more and more LDs, where a lot of them are kind of like, eh. And that adds in more to the LD pile, where it's like you pull an LD and you're like, yeah, finally pulled an LD, but this one kind of bad. And if you are like, no, just give me any LD, well, pull a Jack. You're probably not going to be that happy. It's just like, there's a few units out there. Pull this guy. You're probably not going to be that happy. There's definitely pull. I've seen some people use this by now, and it's kind of okay-ish. But pull this guy. You're probably not going to be that happy. So that also is one of those things, like, if they keep adding more and more units, it adds to the pile where pulling an LD5 and then pulling a good LD5 becomes more and more difficult if they add in, like, every new LD5 being kind of garbage. So let's see if the LDs are going to be good in that. It does also not specific state that, they're going to be default 5-star. Okay, so it does specific state. I was going to say, like, is this whole family going to be 5-star? Nowadays, they kind of always do that. It's not that common. Except for the collabs. The collabs, they always do, like, some families of 4 and 5 mixed. But in this case, they're definitely going to be doing full 5-star. So the first thing, when I saw the Beetle part, I was really thinking about the Chronicles Beetle. But comparing this Beetle, yeah, this compared to this, I like this one. Then again, if we're talking Chronicles units, I've been asking for this unit for ages already in the game, where that I want this unit. If we're talking Chronicles units that should come to Sky Arena, these units should really come to Sky Arena. This thing is just hella freaking dope. It's a Raven, double dagger, double wielder, all kinds of agiles, kind of assassin kind of moves. Very dope. So If we're talking units that we want to translate to Summoner's War, give me those Ravens right there. They're really dope. Once again, guys, let me know in the comments. What do you think about this new unit? How many scrolls you're sitting at right now? And I hope to see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. If you would like to see more guides, join the Discord and check out the content tab for the guide video archive, which contains all of the guides that you might need. Hope to see you there.